Hey, good morning, everybody. It's 10:30 here on Friday. Welcome you back to the Wyoming house and the into my office. This is a video that I'm nervous about making. It's really outside of my skill set, but I'm kind of willing to give it a try. So I'm going to give you my comparison of two blends. I've been asked to do this, so I put this video up with full knowledge that I have the weakest and most undiscerning palate in of any of you who are going to watch this. But I'm gonna do what I've been asked. Mark asked me to do a comparison of Burley morning pipe and 8 state Burley, so that's what this video is about. So again, I say this with, I'm probably the least qualified person to make this video, but I'm going to tell you my experience with both blends. Talk about process first. So I'm going to go ahead and read you the tobacco reviews and Jim Ink's review of each blend. And I'm going to talk about the jar note as I smell it, because I have them jarred. And then I'll talk to you about the smoking experience for me. I'm currently smoking a Burley morning pipe. This morning, so I smoked 3 bowls, this being the third. I smoked 2 bowls of 8 state Burley because I had not smoked it in a long time, months and months since I've put that in my pipe. Burley morning pipe is one of my favorites, so I just did it to basically refresh what my palate thinks the smoking experience is. So the smoking experience, all of it occurred in this pipe, my Wyoming Meerschaum. You've seen it 100 times. I smoked both blends in it this morning. I believe I did not clean the pipe in between. I just scraped it clean. But I believe this pipe does not ghost. It does not carry one blend's flavor into the next bowl. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read to you 2 reviews of each, and then we'll go in and talk about jar notes. So here's tobacco reviews. I just printed it off. This is their thoughts on Burley morning pipe. Burley morning pipe is an all-day smoke made for having with morning coffee, featuring Burley in multiple forms, including blackened Burley Cavendish. That's the entire review right there. So now I'm going to read to you from Tobacco Reviews their description of 8 state Burley. Let's see. I guess the other thing I need to talk to you about is it's Burley morning pipe is from October of 23. That's when I bought it and jarred it. And this is the tin. No, the tin date was 2/17, February 17th of 22, and I put it in the jar in April of 2023. So I want to make sure you understand what years I'm reviewing. So here's the 8 state Burley 2022 description on Tobacco Reviews. It's honoring historic U.S. Burley growing regions. Cornell and Deal's small batch 8 state Burley showcases the often overlooked nuance and complexity of air-cured leaf, beginning with a specially sourced matured blend of 2014 white and dark Burleys, offering a mellow, creamy nuttiness as well as a subtle, soft cocoa flavor on the palate. Top-tier Canadian Brights and SM2-18 Red Virginias complement those distinctive flavors with layers of sweetness, tang, and bready spice. Finally, Oriental tobaccos, well-aged for 17 years, further contribute to the complexity of this unique Burley mixture, a blend of rare Sachem, Samson, and Catarini sun-cured leaf from 2005 add a lightly floral, oily, spicy, and tart flavor, their sweetness having deepened and their sour notes having muted with age. I can tell you right now that is way beyond me. I'm more like the one-line guy. That many words, that many flavors on my palate, not a chance I picked that up. All right, so the next thing I want to read you is Jim Inks. And he's obviously probably the best known name in tobacco reviews. He seems to be the first reviewer that Tobacco and Reviews puts on every single blend. So here's what Jim Inks writes about Burley Morning Pipe. The various forms of Burley are very earthy, nutty, fairly woody, and mildly sugary with a small molasses note. The coffee takes a light lead over the dark cocoa and deep cream toppings. Though the toppings sublimate the burleys to a moderate extent, they also work synergistically to produce a harmoniously consistent, creamy, smooth, and mildly sweet taste from start to finish. Those rather rich flavors translate to the short-lived, pleasant aftertaste and room note. The strength and nick hit are just past the mild mark, while the taste is a step past the center of mild to medium. No chance of bite, harshness, or rough edges. Burns cool and clean at a reasonable pace. Hardly leaves any dampness in the bowl and requires an average number of relights. An easygoing all-day experience as your morning turns to afternoon and evening. And I'm going to read you what Jim Inks said about 8 State Burley. This is an updated review of last year's after having done several direct comparisons between the two blends. The year 2014 white and dark Burleys provide a lot of earth, wood, nuts, mild creamy cocoa, and a sharp, dry sourness along with hints of sugar and molasses. They are the lead components. The aspects of the 17-year-old Succum, Samson, and Catarini are earth, wood, herbs, floralness, spice, zesty, tart sweetness, vegetation, and a mild smoky quality. They are moderately sweet and mildly sour. They are just below being supporting players. The 2019 Canadian Bright Virginia offers a lot of tart and tangy citrus, grass, bread, some sugar, vegetation, floralness, tart lemon, spice, and a hint of acidity as a supporting player. It competes with the Orientals for attention. The Red Virginias produce a fair amount of tangy, dark fruit, earth, wood, bread, light sugar, tart citrus, and a pinch of spice. They are a notch above being a condiment. The Red Virginias add to the overall sweetness as they help mute some of the sourness from the white Burley and Orientals. The casings on the Burleys include a variety of flavors: molasses, rum, sugar, a drop or two of vanilla, and cocoa that are mildly toned down the tobaccos. The blend itself is not topped. The strength and nick hit are medium. The taste is a rung past medium. There's no chance of bite or hardness and has very few small rough edges. Well balanced and complex, it burns cool and clean at a reasonable rate with a rich, nutty, woody, sweet, mildly floral, sour, spicy, smoky flavor. Barely leaves any dampness in the bowl and requires an average number of relights. Has a pleasant, moderately lingering aftertaste and room note. Can be an all-day smoke for the veteran and repeatable for the less experienced. 4 stars. This year's version is fairly similar to last year's, though there are a few small differences. The white Burley is a year older, and the Canadian Bright is 2 years younger than the 2021 version. The Canadian Bright is a notch more obvious here, making the tart and tangy citrus and floral notes slightly more noticeable. The white Burley is lightly more sharp and sour because the tobaccos stand out a touch more. This production is a tad smokier, floral, and punchier. The casing of the Burleys is exactly the same as before. I rated last year's taste level as medium. This is about a half a rung fuller. Same goes for the room note. I will never be at this level. To quote the classic movie Blazing Saddles, Jim Inks uses his tongue sweeter than a $20 whore. I mean, I'm not going to be able to touch those reviews, but I just wanted you to see what essentially what I consider a professional taster, reviewer, and comparer would write about both of these blends. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is the jar notes. What I'm going to do is turn you around and show you the jars, show you the blends, show you exactly how they look, pull them out into the lids like I did yesterday, and let you see what these two products look like side by side. All right, I've got the jars sitting side by side, so you can see 8 State Burley in the jar, Burley Morning Pipe in the jar, and then I've got it kind of set out here on the lids for you. And you can see, I think, I mean, again, this is the idiot's view, but as I pan these back and forth, I would not be able to tell these apart in a blind taste test or a blind look. I could not tell these two apart. I mean, Burley Morning Pipe might have some darker leaf in it than 8 State Burley. But again, as I pan back and forth, you make your own determination if you think there's much of a sight difference between these two blends. So there they are in their lids. There they are in their jars. I just wanted to show that to you before I talk about jar notes. Okay, we'll talk about jar notes now. This makes me nervous because this is where I really show my ignorance and my lack of knowledge and skill. But 8 State Burley first. Burley Morning Pipe next. So Burley Morning Pipe, the jar note is much sweeter. It is, you can really smell the sugars. You can smell the cocoa. It's just a much sweeter, gentler, kinder jar note. 8 State Burley is a much simpler jar note to me. It's I'll say harsher, but it's not really what I mean. It's just more, you smell the tobacco much more so in this jar with 8 State Burley than you do the tobacco scent in Burley Morning Pipe is largely not overridden, but what do they call it, front. It is the sweet is more front forward or more forward. Here you get much more of the tobaccos. There's still a sweetness to it, but it's a tobacco sweetener, not a sweet, not a casing or topping sweet. So I guess that means I'm getting more of the Virginias through here. Again, with here, it's you can smell the coffee, you can smell the sweet, you can smell the cocoa. I wouldn't say one is better than the other, but I do view these as if you're on a pipe journey, on a tobacco journey, I would smoke this one first. I feel like this is a step further down your pipe journey than this is. So I would smoke this, get good with it, become friendly with it, see if you like it, and then move on to a more harsher, again, I keep using that word, but a more tobacco-y blend than this. Boy, sure hope I didn't screw that up. But I'll tell you, that's my nose, that's my palate, that's my description of the jar notes. All right, finally, we'll talk about mouthfeel, taste, retro on both of these. By far the most dangerous part of the video for me. I'm currently smoking Burley Morning Pipe. And I told you earlier in the video, but I smoked 2 bowls of 8 State Burley to get the palate. refamiliarized with that blend. I smoke Burley Morning Pipe on a fairly regular basis, so I just wanted to smoke it again today, partially because I just enjoy it, and partially I wanted to smoke them back to back on the same day. So as infantile as my descriptions are, at least they're both infantile, coming from the same morning, back to back smokes. So I'll say what really surprises me to say is this is probably the best blend I've ever had with a cup of coffee. For some reason, a cup of coffee with 8 State Burley was fantastic. I agree with Jim Inks that both blends light easily, stay lit really well. And if you're willing to dump out the ash once or twice out of your bowl, it burns all the way through. I probably wasted less than 5% of any of the bowls I smoked today. The mouth note, the taste, the experience of smoking premium Burley is a much kinder, gentler experience. That doesn't mean it's better than 8 State, but again, I say it like I did when I did jar notes. I think this is a more primary step in your pipe journey than this. The sweetness, the gentleness really comes through on Burley Morning Pipe. That's probably why I like it so much. I'm 18 months into my pipe journey now. Burley Morning Pipe gives me a little bit of gurgle, but that might be me on my third bowl. I can't blame the blend for that. This is truly a gentle smoke. Even my palate can taste, I can't taste if it's cocoa or coffee, but there's a sweetness to it that my mouth truly enjoys. When I smoke the 8 State, there's not a harshness to it, but there's a slight edge to it, that tanginess, that sourness, and then the true tobacco flavor really does come through. Those are the three things I picked up, both in the jar note and in the mouth note. The room note, the taste, the retro experience is slightly harsher, slightly edgier, with the 8 State than it is with the Burley Morning Pipe. In my opinion, these blends are not worlds apart. I mean, they really are very close together. If we were doing, aromatics to Old Dark Fired, these two are fairly close to each other on that spectrum. And what that means for this guy, for my mouth, for my experience, for this review, they're very close together. One is slightly sweeter and gentler, and one is slightly edgier, more tobacco, more a little bit of sourness to it. And both are great experiences. I can't recommend one blend over another, just absolutely, because it really depends on where you are and what your palate likes. If you're more towards the aromatic side of the market, you're going to enjoy Burley Morning Pipe more than I think you will 8 State. If you're more on the Old Dark Fired, or you like the taste of tobacco, or you're a brown bogey guy or a brown Irish X guy, I think you'll like 8 State much better. That's really all I have for how I experience it with tasting in my mouth. All right, guys, that's really the end of my review of these two, or my comparison of these two blends. They're really more, I would like you to view this video as a comparison of two blends and not an evaluation or review of two blends. I can recommend both. I think both have a place in your cellar. If you want to kinder experience, maybe a little more junior experience, do this. And if you feel like you want a grown-up experience and you want to take it a step further along the matrix, along the spectrum, this is where I would go. Well, I'll tell you, I enjoy both. I enjoy the jar note. I enjoy the smoking experience of both. Guys, I hope you found this at all somewhat educational or entertaining, at least. I'm going to end it there. So, again, let me know what you think. I pre-apologize for how, I don't know, infantile is the word I use. This comparison has been. But you have to consider the source. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.